Hello, my friends. My name is Harold, and welcome to the Sanctum. We'll be moving on to the next zodiac sign in the series today, which is the zodiac sign of Capricorn. Right. So, once again, as I've said in every one of these videos, when I'm talking about a particular zodiac sign, in this case Capricorn, I'm not necessarily talking about you. If your zodiac, if your sun sign is in Capricorn, you may identify with some of these things that I'm talking about, but I'm not necessarily talking about you. I'm talking about the archetypal nature of Capricorn itself, the archetypal energy of Capricorn. So let's dive right into it. So first of all, the elemental correspondence, or the element that's associated with Capricorn, is Earth, but this time it's cardinal Earth. So once again, the cardinal signs are associated with the four seasons, and now it is getting very, very cold, and we are getting closer to the darkest time of the year as it approaches winter, as Capricorn is associated with winter time and with winter solstice, which is the shortest day, the least amount of light, and the darkest time of the year. So for that reason, Capricorn is associated and is known as the darkest sign in the zodiac. Now, when I say the word dark, I don't mean evil. I don't want you to make that association that dark means evil and light means good. That's not what I mean. That's equivalent to saying that daytime is good and nighttime is bad, right? That's preposterous. So in this case, what I'm saying is dark as in yin, the absence of light, in that sense. Okay, so it is getting very cold. So Capricorn is associated with the cold because it is the preserver. Capricorn is the preserver, the one who preserves something. The cold, when it's freezing cold, you can preserve something so that it can last a long time. So that is the archetypal energy of Capricorn, is that it likes to preserve, right? And what does it need in order to preserve something? First of all, it needs to be cold, so that it can last a long time, because Capricorn rules time. Because the planetary correspondence, the planetary ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, also known as the greater malefic planet, the planet that everybody is scared of. Because, first of all, it's the lord of karma. It brings about death. It rules death. But also, it is a limiter. It's a limiter so somebody can grow. But also, Saturn rules time. In Greek mythology, Chronos is associated with Saturn, right? Chronos, time. So that's where words such as chronological have come to the English language, right? Ruled by time, Chronos. So Capricorn is highly time oriented. It's all about time. There has to be the time to do something. Time is running out, right? And Capricorn wants to ensure whatever Capricorn does, it lasts a long period of time. So Capricorn likes to preserve something using its very cold and dark energy. Okay, Capricorn likes structure, because if you want to ensure that something lasts a long time, it's good to have a certain structure. Of course, Capricorn, in terms of what it rules, in terms of the body, it rules the bones, the teeth, the knees, right? So of course, the bones are what creates one's structure in the body. If we were to have no bones, we'll just be a big clump of skin and organs. We won't have a structure to our body. So Capricorn is that energy that gives structure to something, right? It's also, the bones are that which is within ourselves that is kept hidden in our body, in terms of it's always in darkness. We can't see it. It's always in darkness because it's hidden underneath our skin, right? So once again, we see the dark association with Capricorn. Okay, but also the bones are that which is only seen after death. Yeah, because it lasts the longest. Even though our skin and everything else, all our rest of our organs may have or rotted and faded away after our death. What's left is our bones. It can really stand the test of time, right? So you can see how Capricorn is associated with time, and the bones here as well is associated with time. So now the opposite of Capricorn on the other side of the zodiac is Cancer. Now you can see how Cancer is associated with the home, as I mentioned in the other video when I was talking about Cancer. And now the home is associated with, you know, your inner environment that's keeping you safe. But now the external is we're going into society, societal structure and hierarchy. This is Capricorn, right? So the structure of the external world, politics, is associated with Capricorn. Now, the structural plan of something, architecture, is also a very Capricornian thing. Capricorn rules architecture. Okay. Now, Capricorn is also associated, one of the positive aspects of Capricorn is it's a very determined sign, right? Of course, the avatar of Capricorn is the goat. But it's not just a goat in terms of a goat as you would find in the outside world, but it's actually a sea goat, right? A sea goat, a half goat and half fish. So it's a goat with a fish's tail, a mergoat. Okay. Now the reason for that is, so you can even see it in the Capricorn sign, which is sort of like a V, but with a loop at the bottom. You can see it on the title of this video. The sign of Capricorn is a V like this with a fisher's loop. Now the V isn't actually a V, it's actually a square, right? It's like a square, as in the tool, or I actually have one here, one of these. It's not exactly a square, but you know what I mean. It's a square as in a tool that the architect uses to measure a right angle is known as a square. So this square is a symbol of earth, of materiality, because that 90-degree angle is human made, right? It's not made by nature. If you look at nature, everything is in circles, right? Seed of life, flower of life, everything is in circles. If you look out in nature, you'll never find an exact square. Even if you look at a crystal, you might say, oh, a crystal is a square. No, it's not. We made it a square. Human beings polished it and grinded it and turned it into a square in that way. So those right angles aren't found in nature. So for that reason, it's associated with matter and architecture in that way. So that V that you see on a Capricorn is associated with the square, but it's also the horns of the goat, because that too is sort of like that. It forms a V, and the little loop is the fisher's loop, is the fisher's tail. And the reason why the Capricorn is not just a goat is because its head is on land, and it's very determined because it wants to climb the mountain. It wants to ascend the hierarchy. So of course, Capricorn is associated with hierarchy and authority and status. A well-placed Capricorn can almost always be successful and can always climb that social ladder. Hence why it's associated with politicians, leaders. Also a very Capricornian thing, because they can ascend that hierarchy. They can be that goat that can ascend and climb the mountain, right? But in order to do so, they need to be persistent and patience, right? Because always Capricorn requires hard work in order to ascend that ladder, because it takes time, and it needs to be determined and persistent to climb that ladder. But now the fisher's tail goes into the water, right? So this is talking about how Capricorn, although it's looking up to climb the mountain and ascend the hierarchy, this could be even hierarchy in terms of a material hierarchy, but also spiritually to ascend. But the tail is without realization in the water. Now, this water is associated with the astral waters, the spiritual waters. So, subconsciously, it's a very spiritual sign. But because its head is on the land, it is very skeptical. Naturally, it's the most skeptical sign in the zodiac because it's very material oriented. But without realizing, it's got access into the subconscious, into the astral waters. And for that reason, it's known as the shaman of both worlds. Because without realizing it, a Capricorn is shifting into this world and accessing all of this knowledge and resources, sometimes without realizing it. So therefore, a Capricorn who becomes aware of the astral waters, of that which is hidden, and uses those and becomes very practical, because of course it's a very practical sign. After all, it's cardinal earth. It's very disciplined. It's the most disciplined out of all the signs. If it's able to take that discipline and apply it to spiritual work, the tail being in the waters, it can become like that shaman in between the worlds and can reach extreme heights. But also, as Capricorn starts to climb the mountain, it can also slip and fall. So Capricorn also is open to failure, because this particular sign is also associated with failure. Because sometimes if you want to ascend and reach heights, sometimes you might make a mistake and sometimes you may fail. But those Capricorns who learn from their failure can get up and climb the mountain again. But the further you climb, and if you fall, the harder you will fall. Yeah. So this is a very serious sign and is associated with order. So once again, it's associated with structure, order, discipline, time, stability, solidity, like earth. All of this is associated with Capricorn. It's the most grounded sign of them all, because it's on earth, but its tail is in the water in that way. But out of all the seriousness, Capricorn can also be a little bit funny. It's associated with comedy. Right? It's a comedian. So comedians, in some strange way, are very Capricorn oriented as well. They can be very funny in that way, because throughout all the seriousness, a little bit of humor is required to break the ice. Yeah, and break the ice, the coldness of Capricorn. And oftentimes, Capricorn is a very reliable sign, right? Because it rules responsibility. And if you want to make something last a long time to ensure it's preserved, you need to be responsible. You need to nurture it and look after it, and you need to be responsible and reliable to ensure that it lasts that long time. Okay, because after all, it's you can see its association there with Saturn as well, as Saturn is the sign of responsibility. I'll make a video on Saturn completely. I'll make a video on Saturn specifically, but oftentimes Saturn, after 28 years, we in our own natal chart, we experience something called a Saturn return, and that's where we experience and are presented with so many responsibilities to teach us how to grow in that way and transcend the limitations that Saturn puts upon us. So in the same way, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, Capricorn can sometimes be limited, right? Because it needs to work really hard and be very responsible. But if it actually does so, it can transcend those limitations and reach those heights. Okay, of course, the Capricorn rules career, and oftentimes Capricorns are very ambitious and really want to push themselves and are determined to really climb to those heights. But now the dark side of Capricorn is that oftentimes when Capricorn gets really into what they're doing, they forget about the journey, and it's all about the end. It's all about getting to the top. and it becomes a point where a Capricorn may get so obsessed with the end and getting to the end that they forget about the journey and will do anything to get to that end. The ends justify their means, even if it means running over somebody or pushing somebody to the side, or even taking a shortcut, right? Trying to go against the natural flow of time and trying to get there quickly. And this could lead to the downfall of a Capricorn, because it's now going against time. But its natural way is to actually flow through time and be patient. But when a Capricorn tries to run further and take that shortcut, it can fall and hit the ground quite hard. But also due to its authority, and it rules authority, it can become too authoritative and try to control others. So it's got a very controlling nature when it goes into its opposite polarity, when it goes into the dark side. Too goal oriented, right? So, also the tarot card associated with Capricorn is the Devil card, right? Now, the Devil card is all about materiality and getting stuck in the material, or it has that association as well. And you can see how Capricorn sometimes can get stuck in the material, because in the Rider-Waite expression of the Devil card, you see the devil and a man and a woman chained to a cube, right, a square, materiality, and of course the devil in that interpretation is of course similar to a goat, because of course it's got the horns like a goat, it's got the feet of a goat, so you can see its association in some way with the goat. So it's associated with the Devil card. But of course, just like Saturn, it can be a very silent zodiac sign and is associated with quietness and silence. So oftentimes people who are strongly aspected in Capricorn, they tend to be very quiet, very internal, right? Although randomly there can be bursts of comedy and humor in that way. Yeah. So I believe that I've said everything I wanted to say about the zodiac sign of Capricorn. I hope all of this makes sense. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And I hope to see you again in the next video, which is Aquarius. Thank you, take care, and I shall see you very soon.